Today, I need to remove the AC compressor from this 2013 Audi Q7 with the 3-liter engine, supercharger, and rear evaporator. First, the front end belts have to be removed, starting with the supercharger. Unfortunately, I don't have a cameraman, so a lot of what I'm going to show you is in snapshots. I hope you don't mind. The supercharger belt tensioner can be relaxed with a 16mm wrench. The serpentine belt tensioner has a hex nut molded into the aluminum case that we can grab with a wrench and twist it to release the tension. Unfortunately, this cooling tube is in the way, so we need to remove the coolant tube bracket bolts, which takes a T30 Torx bit. There is another bolt way down there near the bottom of the engine. And there's a third bolt also at the bottom of the engine, but on the other side. With the coolant pipe loose, we have room to get a 16mm wrench on the belt tensioner and release the tension and remove the belt. I'm going to remove the power steering pump to gain better access to the compressor. The power steering pump is relatively straightforward to remove and reinstall. To remove the power steering pump, we first have to take the pulley off of it, which means we have to remove these 3 pulley bolts. If I was smarter, I would have done this before removing the belt. Instead, I'll use a strap wrench to hold the pulley. Audi has chosen to use 10mm 12-point spline bolts on the pulley for some reason. I'll remove as much of the power steering fluid as possible with my fluid extractor, but this step isn't strictly necessary. It just reduces the amount of fluid that could spill all over later. Now we need to remove the inlet hose to the pump and try to catch as much fluid as possible in this funnel. The outlet pipe is fastened to the pump with this banjo bolt, which we can remove with a 22mm wrench. Now we need to remove the bolts holding the pump to the engine. These bolts take our 10mm 12-point spline again. There are 2 bolts at the front of the pump and 1 at the rear. Now to remove the control wiring connector from the compressor. The inlet and outlet refrigerant pipes need to be removed. At this point, it is very important that there's no Freon in the system. In my case, the Freon is all leaked out. So I can use my T45 Torx bit to remove the retaining bolts and pull the tubes free from the compressor. This wasn't as easy as it sounds though. There's a locator pin under there that was corroded and holding tight, so I had to hammer a putty knife between the pipe head and the compressor. I only did this near the retaining bolt to be sure that I didn't hit, scratch, or otherwise damage the O-ring and the tube on the other side of the pipe head. I taped sandwich bags over the pipe heads to prevent contamination from getting into the lines. Moving the lines aside, it's now easy to see and reach the 3 bolts holding the compressor to the engine. They take a 13mm wrench. With the power steering pump out of the way, there's enough room to pull the compressor out from the top. And that's all it takes to remove the compressor. I'll post another couple videos on how to remove the dryer element and the expansion valves.